There we were on Saturday, reveling in what Alexandre Pantoja did, and there's his name being called out. And I was wondering, I was like, is he doing one of those watch-along things? Is he recording himself? I texted him. I think he was. We played the clip of him watching Pantoja call him out. It's tremendous stuff.
Who, me?
Still in 2024, he is still being called out. He is still being discussed. He is still the greatest of all time when it comes to flyweight, and arguably the greatest of all time, certainly on my Mount Rushmore, top 4 ever, period, regardless of weight class. He's your friend and mine, the one and only Demetrious Johnson, kind enough to join us right now. There he is. I was wondering, DJ, is he watching this live? What is it like to be watching a UFC pay-per-view in 2024 and you're like, oh, you're calling me out? Like, you're the champ. I haven't fought in this organization for several years, and so that's why I wanted to have you on. First off, hello, sir. How are you?
What's going on, Ariel? Thanks for having me on again, brother.
You look fantastic. The skin is glowing. The beard is on point. As usual, you always look tremendous. Okay, so can you set the scene? You're just watching the fight. You're doing your thing. You're working on your YouTube channel, and then he calls you out. What's happening?
Yep.
What do you?
Okay. Let me clear my throat before I cook. Okay.
What do we got? What are we drinking there? Is that a sponsor?
We're drinking First Form. It is a sponsor. It keeps me lit when I'm doing my work in the mighty room. Okay, so let's talk about it. Here's my black ass. I'm sitting down watching UFC 310, watching Alex Pantoja beat Kai Asakura. I'm sitting there. My son's watching, and my son hears my name. My son goes, Dad, you haven't fought in that company for 6 years. Why is he calling you out? I was like, son, I have no idea. And he goes, you're also retired. You haven't fought in a year and a half. I was like, I know, son, but sometimes Dad doesn't understand everything, you know? But besides that, it was a good fight by Alex Pantoja and Kai Asakura. And was I a little surprised that he called me out? A little bit, because, you know, one thing when people, if you know who I am and you know me as a person outside of the cage, when I say I'm going to do something, I mean it 1000%. Like, I'm not a guy, I'm black and white. It's either I'm in or I'm out. And when I said my black ass is retired, everybody out there, I don't sell false dreams. I don't sell wolf tickets. I don't sell none of that bullshit. My black ass is not coming back.
As a competitor, though, as the greatest of all time, is there any part there that starts like bubbling up? Any itch that's like, you know what, this dude wants to call me out. He's calling himself GOAT. 3 title defenses. He's calling himself GOAT. He's talking to me 11 straight title defense. Is there any part of you that's just a little bit there that's saying, yeah, I'd love to prove him wrong?
No, not at all. I've never been the type of person. I've never been a person to try to prove somebody wrong. It's not my place to. And when it comes to calling yourself the GOAT, you can't call yourself the GOAT. I never called myself the GOAT, right? You know, in my life, working on different businesses, you know, I've worked on different things, and I said, man, this is going to be the greatest thing ever. And he goes, we can't say that. We do not have the right to say that. The community, the media, the public needs to perceive this. I was working in the esports area. He says the community and the public and the media need to deem this game worthy enough to be on that GOAT status. We work on this product, and we cannot say this is GOAT status. So what I'm getting at is that Alex Pantoja, he can call himself the GOAT, but does the public see him as the GOAT? Do the media see him as the GOAT? Do his peers see him as the GOAT? For me, my peers, the media, the public see me as the GOAT. So am I one of the greatest flyweights of all time? Yeah, 1000%. When I was in the octagon or in the ring or in one championship, I was doing stuff that was amazing, like the flying knee against Adriano, the mighty whiz bar, the clinch work I put on not Adriano, Henry Cejudo. I mean, you know, what I did to John Dodson, what I did to Joseph Benavidez. I mean, I haven't seen anybody to replicate that. Now, when you look what Alex Pantoja has done in the flyweight division, 3 title defenses, that is, in today's age of mixed martial arts, that's unprecedented, right? You know, you go back in, you know, my day, back in age of my fucking self, 3 title defenses was like, okay, I did that in 1 year, right? And I had surgery. So it's times are different when you look at the span of mixed martial arts. And you look at Kai Asakura, great athlete, great fighter, but Kyoji Horiguchi beat him. Kai Asakura starches Kyoji Horiguchi. Kyoji Horiguchi comes back and beats him. And what's the first thing that comes out of Kyoji Horiguchi's mouth? I know a lot of casuals here don't watch other, you know, organization. The first thing that comes out of Kyoji Horiguchi's mouth, he goes, that was easy. easy fight, easy fight. And I was like, yeah, because, you know, you leg kicked him and then you guys got an exchange. You hit him on the, on top of the dome, legal shot because he hit the air and dropped him. He goes, easy fight. You look at Manel Cop. Manel Cop beats him as well, knocks him out. That's one thing I appreciate about, I love about Kai Asakura's fighting style is that he goes out in his shield. Like he's like, I'm either gonna knock you out or you're gonna knock me out, or you're gonna finish me. So when you look at Kai Asakura, if he had the ability to be like, hey, I'm gonna work on my clinch game, I'm working on my wrestling game, that way I'm not always doing anti-wrestling, I'm gonna bring a wrestling game to the fight, then it makes it more dynamic to fight. But when that matchup got made, I was like, Pantoja's going to eat his ass up alive. Pantoja is way too good everywhere. Pantoja's got a chin. He pushes the pace. And, like, once he goes to the ground, he's pretty much fucked. And that's essentially what happened.
Wow.
And I just did a Void breakdown on the YouTube channel. Go take a look at it. And one of the things when you go watch the fight, each time Pantoja crosses the Void and gets on Kai Asakura, he does a flying knee and pushes away. It pushes away. Instead of like flying knee, okay, we're clinching. Inside step, you know, move him, grab the head, clinch, elbow, move. Like he's not fighting inside that void where he's always pushing away. Same thing with Ian Gary. Each time, Ian Gary did a better job about what I was actually shocked at Ian Gary when Shavkat crossed the void and got the clinch on him. He was actually engaging in that realm. But Ian Gary shines when he waits for people to come across the void and he capitalizes on them. He's not a guy who goes, fuck this, I'm coming after you. I'm not gonna wait for you to come and get me. I'm gonna come get you, and then when I'm fucking you up, as I'm getting you, I'm gonna back up, and you're gonna come get me. Then I'm gonna catch you, right? So those are the things that go on my mind when I'm watching. But yeah, it was a good fight, and
God, I freaking love that. I love when you do this and then the this. I love when you're just flowing out there, and it's so effortless. It's just amazing the way your mind works. And so in the midst of that, I was going to ask you, so is this what you were expecting? And it sounds like you just answered it. You were expecting the fight to go that way. You were expecting him to probably finish Kai Asakura and with relative ease.
1,000%. We did price picks, and your boy won that pick, went less with 60.5.5 strikes, because I knew Pantoja was either going to take it down and submit him, or Kai Asakura might find his chin, or Pantoja was going to drop him and knock him out when they fight, because the way Pantoja fight, he goes like he throws a kitchen sink at you. He goes after you with the grappling, with the you know, the stand up exchanges, and he gets hit too on his feet because it's kind of reckless. It's not a, you know, pop like, you know, forcing the person to miss. So yeah, once that happened, you know, if you watch a YouTube video, I just laugh. I was like, I'm not surprised, guys. Like, now if Kai Asakura was undefeated and he beat Kyoji Horiguchi 2 times, and he beat Manel Cop 2 times, and he was undefeated and just starching everybody, they're like, okay, that was actually like, holy damn, he's never been finished, but he's been finished before. And I'm not saying what Alex Pantoja has done wasn't like special, but I wasn't surprised. I was like, yeah, he's lost before. He's been finished multiple times in his career. So it's Kai Asakura is still young, and he doesn't understand how to strategize and use his intelligence when he's fighting somebody. He's still in this realm of recklessness of like, push away, flying knee. Okay, all right, come on, hard right hand, run away. It's not like, okay, I'm gonna try to work on making him make a bad shot, or Pantoja's reckless coming across the void. So how can we, you know, boom, double leg takedown, right? So there's things that like when I see, and I'm like, okay, he's not on Pantoja's level because he hasn't gotten away from the things that made him successful, which is him catching people, if that makes sense.
100%. You know, I'm not going to insult you by asking you if you think Pantoja is the greatest of all time. As he alluded to, the numbers speak for themselves, 11 straight title defenses versus 3. Now, he's starting to get into the conversation of one of the best at flyweight, with the 13 wins, which ties you and Joe B, with the 7 finishes, which ties you and Davis and Figueiredo. But the title defenses are the great equalizer, if you will. Here's the question that I'm wondering if you have a take on. Can we start to talk about him being the second greatest? I always thought it was you, then Joe B. Joe B never won a title, and probably if he's not fighting in your era, he does win a title, right? He was tremendous, but you know, you were just in his way every single time. But now, considering the title wins, considering him lapping the competition, is that a conversation that we could start having?
I think Pantoja's writing his story right now, right? Even when you look at what I did, it was special. Even Joe B, he never won a title. He was special. He was a big character, big personality. Even John Dotson, the smile, the way he beat people, the way he knocked people out from the southpaw position. You also cannot forget, Triple C. Triple C, a lot of people don't give him a lot of, credit and respect, maybe because it's the cringe or whatnot. But, he beat me in a split decision. And then he defended the belt. He knocked out TJ Dillashaw. And then he goes up to 135, beats Marlon Moraes. I mean, he finishes, TJ, Marlon Moraes, and then he finishes Dominic Cruz, and then he retires. And then I think the only thing that kind of puts a stain, people forget that, is because he came back, lost to Aljamain Sterling, lost to Merab. But, I would put, me, Henry Cejudo, Joe B, but Alex Pantoja is writing his story right now. And I was sitting here and I'm thinking about this, and Pantoja said it's all about legacy, it's not about money. But I don't know what the fuck you're doing it for. It is about the money, to be honest with you. And I'm not fighting for money anymore, so I don't care to fight. But my legacy doesn't need Alex Pantoja, and Alex Pantoja doesn't need Demetrious Johnson in his legacy.
That's crazy. That's the craziest thing you've ever said. I understand you,
Why?
but him fighting you and potentially beating you, that's the greatest thing that he could do for his legacy.
No, the thing I always tell people is like, don't be like me, be better than me. Do something that I couldn't do. Go do this. Here's a realm where you surpass my legacy, right? He's on his third title defense, okay? And he's had some close fight. His fight with Steve Ercik, a lot of people are like, damn, if Steve Ercik didn't make those mistakes, because Steve Ercik did make a mistake in that fight, right? Like, I sat there and watched it. I was like, damn, Steve Ercik was, giving it to him on the feet. I can't remember the last time somebody was giving it to me on my feet where it's like, holy shit, I need it. You know what I mean? Like, John Dotson, he put me on my ass 3 times, but the second time I made amends. So when you look at that fight with Steve Ercik versus Alex Pantoja, a lot of people are like, oh man, Steve Ercik dropped the ball. He could have won the fight. Even Henry Cejudo said the same thing when that fight happened. But let's get back on how Pantoja can write his story and people will remember him more than they remember me, right? He goes on, he beats, Brandon Royale. Next time they fight, he just starches him. It's not even close. He fights Brandon Moreno. It's not even close, right? And then he does one more. He gets 6 title defense, 7 title defenses. Then he goes, I'm going up to 135. I'm coming to beat, if it's Merab, Umar Nurmagomedov, whoever the champion is at that time, Sugar Sean, whatever it may be. He beats that person. Then he defends that belt. Then he retires. Then you cannot deny this man that he is one of the greatest of all time. Like, you can't deny him. And that's one of the things that I've always strived for. Nobody can ever say they are better than me as a flyweight because of what I've been able to do. 11 title defenses, 7 finishes in those 11 title defenses. Think about that, baby. Now,
it's incredible. I like it. I like when you puff your chest out.
Now, dog. Go
I love when you puff your chest out. By the way, you mentioned on Twitter, hey guys, I was offered $2 million for a fight. I ain't coming back. Which fight was that? Who was that against?
I cannot discuss that.
Come on.
I cannot discuss that.
You tweeted it.
I can't discuss it. I did tweet it.
Was it with one or with someone else?
It wasn't with one. It was somebody else.
Could you have taken it?
I'm sure if I really wanted to, and I talked to Chatri, and then, me and Chatri like, hey man, like, let me go do this thing, da-da-da-da. But the beautiful thing about that phone call when it came in, they're like, DJ, hey, we got a huge opportunity for you, $2 million guaranteed for you to fight. What do you say? I know you're still young, you can still fight. And I was like, I don't care to fight anymore. And he goes, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm done. Like, I'm enjoying my life. I'm enjoying my journey in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Nagi, and I'm good. And he goes, you just gonna turn out $2 million? I was like, yeah, I don't care. And then he goes, all right, well, if you ever change your mind, just pick up that phone call, give me a call. And then, like I said, I made a goal in 2023. My New Year's resolution for 2024 was like, I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to use my body to make money. Like, I'm not going to do it. And I gave myself a year. And that's when I was like, okay, I don't miss it. I don't miss competing. I don't miss training. I don't miss sparring. I don't miss X, Y, and Z, what comes with the territory of fighting. Shit, hell, I don't miss kind of weight. When he's like, oh, what, 125? Ha! Fuck you out of here. Me making 125? Never again in my life. Not in my lifetime. Even when I compete in the gi, one of my professors, Bibiano, he goes, DJ, I think you go 141, my friend. You might be a little bit too small. I was like, Bibiano, I'm not fucking cutting weight. So that's why I compete at 154. And I weigh 147, like 146, 147. I feel good, strong here. And I'm not gonna cut weight. That life is gone. It's past me. So, but
Could I ask,
yeah,
was it the UFC?
it was not the UFC.
Okay.
No.
And I think that's important because I see some people saying, hey, they should just, because I was saying, look, we can all dream about this, but I do believe you are still contractually tied to one.
Yep.
So it's not like one's just going to let you walk out the door. And then people are like, yo, UFC calls up one and says, here's $5 million, let DJ fight. Maybe they do. And I was like, you know what? That's a strong point. So I was trying to see if it was maybe them 2 million, we get the 5 million. Is there any number? No? Yeah.
There is no number. And that's the beautiful thing about it, right? Like when I look at my position is that, a lot of people in mixed martial arts, they let the sport retire them. Right? I mean, you look at the long list of athletes who've been in, mixed martial arts, not just in the UFC. You look at Pride, you look at Bellator, you look at all the landscape of everything. You look at Fedor Emelianenko. He didn't have to do those last fights in his career. He didn't have to, right? But maybe he still loved it. And I think for me, in my position, when I retired, I was like, I don't miss it. I'm not having fun anymore. Even when this gentleman doesn't know this, a lot of people don't realize Alex Pantoja wasn't the only person who called me out this weekend. Reese McLaren, he was like, man, I don't know if you guys watched that fight. Amazon Prime, one championship, free. I know everybody and their mom's got Prime Video. If you guys are still living in your mom's basement, you can go ahead and watch that for free on Prime Video. But Reese McLaren fought Jared Brooks. Amazing fight. He was moving back and forth. Beautiful stand-up. I felt like that was the hardest thing for his game to develop. He's got a great grappler game. And when he fought Jared Brooks, he was good, moving crisp on the feet, throwing beautiful combinations, exchanging with him. And he called me out. And he probably doesn't remember this, but when I was about to fight Adriano for the third time in Denver, he was like, mate, I know you've kind of hinted around you retiring from mixed martial arts, but man, maybe you could stay around one more time to fight me. And I looked him in the face. I was like, dog, this is my last fight. Like, I am done. Like, my black ass is tired of working hard. I never forget when I was in the training camp and I'm fucking smashing those pads. I'm like, wow, wow, bah, 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 wow, wow. Just Matt's like, more, push. And after I got done, I was like, guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm fucking tired of working hard. Like, I am just tired of it. And I remember telling Reese McLaren, I was like, dog, this is my last one. I'm done. Like, I'm good. So, yeah, there's no amount of money that could bring me back out of retirement. I think athletes who want to come out and try to prove something at a stage in their career, it just doesn't give me butterflies. It's almost like, well, why? I don't see the reason why. Like I said, my legacy doesn't need Alex Pantoja, and Alex Pantoja's legacy doesn't need Demetrious Johnson. Just like the news around the area now is that Jon Jones' legacy doesn't need Tom Aspinall, and Tom Aspinall's legacy doesn't need Jon Jones. Now, I think the big stipulation that's going on right now is what, the Westland gangster, the undefeated fighter, the greatest fighter of all time, Chael Sonnen from RCW code 10999. If you have an active champion and you have an interim champion, that is supposed to be the fight that's supposed to be made. Not when you have Stipe, love Stipe Miocic. He hasn't fought in 4 years. And the last time Stipe fought, he got knocked out by Francis Ngannou. And Ngannou went off. Since that fight, Francis has gone off and fought in boxing. That didn't work out well for him. Then he comes back and fights in the PFL. And so that's stipulation. Now we have Jon Jones and Stipe. They just fought. Here's the kicker. You still have an interim champion waiting here who's defended the interim champion belt. I don't think it's ever been done before in mixed martial arts history. You have Tom Aspinall, who's defended the belt. You have Jon Jones, who is the champion. Is Tom Aspinall still interim champion or what? Then you have these two are supposed to fight, but Jon Jones hasn't made his decision yet. So that's where it's kind of convoluted. Where my situation, I've retired. I'm done. I don't care to fight anymore. To where Jon Jones is still waiting there to see if he's going to fight Tom Aspinall or is he going to fight Alex Pereira. So that's the interesting thing because I was talking to somebody at the gym and they're like, you and Jon Jones are kind of the same way. And I was like, no. It's totally different. I'm retired. I don't want to fight anymore. I've already said that to where Jon Jones is kind of like, what's he going to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It does speak to your greatness, though, that on one particular weekend, you're being called out by the two kings in different weight classes. So people still want to fight you. You're only 38. It's not. I understand why they're doing it, especially Pantoja, who, like I said, has lapped the competition. It makes all the sense in the world, and I understand why you say no. And in case you were wondering, in your prime, when you were UFC champion, when you were flying the flag, there was no greater supporter of yours than Dana White, and he was asked about the possibility of you fighting Pantoja. I'd love to play that clip for you and get your reaction. Here's Dana.
Come fight me. Is that something you would entertain even?
I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah. Listen, you know how I was the one beating the drum about Demetrious Johnson a long time ago. And, yeah, I don't know.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, a good friend of the Mighty Cash Show, MMA Guru, he's one of the best investigators on the planet. Go watch his video. I broke it down. I think, the relationship between me, Dana White, you're never going to have the best relationship with your boss, I guess you can say. And, he was, I never forget after I fought John Moraga in 2013 in Seattle, he was boasting me like, man, he's great. He gets his nose cracked, takes John Moraga down, then ends up submitting him. He was one of my biggest cheerleaders, but he was also one of my biggest. He also shit on me as well, right? So, I mean, it's true. I mean, the footage is there. Like I said, Drew has broke it down, and so, but the fight's not going to happen. And here's the thing too: there's enough talent out there for Alex Pantoja to fight, right? Like, they didn't have to get Kai Asakura and bring him and give him a title shot immediately, right? You have Bruno Silva, who's in the division. He's on, I think 3 or 4 fight win streak. You have Muhammad Mokaev, who's undefeated. You guys let him go. That could have been a great fight for Alex Pantoja. And the hardest thing is that you have 3 of the greatest flyweights training together. You have Alex Pantoja, Adrian Moraes, and Kyojo Horiguchi that all train together. Those are 2 potential matchups that you could have, but they train together. Then you have Reese McLaren, who's also good. Adrian Moraes trains there. So it's kind of the water is very thin. Yes, he's beat Brandon Royale. He's beat Brandon Moreno. Brandon Moreno, he took time off. He was like, and Brandon Moreno's still young. He's 31, and they've had great fights too. So I think there's fights that could be made in that division with, obviously, I'm not there anymore. So there's fights out there that could be made. But, and them let him, I was thinking at the gym today, I was like, why they let Muhammad Mokaev done? Like, he starts fights. There's been people on the UFC roster that have done horrific things outside of the octagon, and they're still fucking employed. I don't need to name anybody. I think the fan base can figure out who I'm talking about, and they're still employed by the UFC. So I'm like, there was a missed opportunity. You can have a guy who's undefeated who could, push the pace. You bring Kai Asakura in, you give Kai Asakura a fight to build him even more. I mean, there's so many ways you can bake this cake, but, that's just me sitting there. I'm like, there's so many things they could have done, and they still can do with that division for Alex Pantoja.
Yeah, I would love to see them bring back Mokaev. He's fighting this weekend for Brave. It was weird that they let him go. They said he wasn't a pleasure to deal with behind the scenes, but as well as I, like, there's no angels. There's a lot of guys who are pains in the butt. His manager is one of the most respected guys in the business, Tim Simpson. Just deal with him. He represents Leon Edwards and Izzy and so many others. So perhaps if he wins, they reconsider that. There's Kai Car-France out there. By the way, you mentioned Seattle. They announced they're going back to Seattle. I know you don't like to show up to the events. Any chance we get a DJ cameo sitting in the front row there? Like, hey, he does the little thing. Hey, look who's here, Seattle zone or Washington zone. Like, that would be nice. No, in front of the hometown crowd.
I got to see what day it is. I think I might be gone. That's February
22nd.
22nd? Oh, yeah, I'll be gone. I'll be traveling. So,
what do you mean?
I mean, I don't know. Don't worry about where I'm going to be, Ariel. Don't worry about where I'm going to be.
Damn, I just would love to see you get a little pop there, a little ovation from the Seattle crowd. It would be nice.
Yeah, you know what? I'm very excited for the UFC to come back to Seattle. I feel Seattle's an untapped market for mixed martial arts. Like we don't have a lot of big events coming up this way, or even in Portland. I mean, usually on the West Coast, it's usually hitting California. So I think Seattle is a good spot for them to return, because the last time they did return here was when I was fighting, and that was back in 2013. So it's been a very, very long time.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that dream isn't going to come to fruition. You're just killing all our dreams today. Everything. Do we have any competitions coming up? Any jiu-jitsu? Anywhere where we could see DJ? Clearly, there's still a demand. 60% of our audience says you should come out of retirement, by the way, and fight Pantoja. So that's more than 50, which is the majority. Any competitions? You're going to pop up Fight Pass Invitational, perhaps? CJ, where?
You know what, man? It's funny because, like, I've been doing a little bit no-gi stuff here and there. And, you know, no-gi is an interesting game because the leg lock game is so damn... It's very interesting, right? Because those guys who've grappled, that's all they do. Like I grapple Mikey, and Mikey's a monster, and his leg lock game is I can't even compete with his leg lock game. One is I don't want to, you know, risk tearing my ACL, my MCL, my popliteus. You know, I don't want to tear my knees at 38 years old. Like I go to competition, I tear my knees. I'm like, great. Now I got a 9-month surgery ahead of me, and now I'm on crutches, and I can't play football with my kids. Just doesn't seem like. It doesn't seem the risk, the sacrifice to do that. But I am working on my jiu-jitsu game in the gi. And this is why I love, you know, where my journey is at now as a mixed martial artist or a martial artist is right now I'm trying to develop a strategy because I was going to my last competition in Worlds. I lost in the quarterfinals. I got choked out with a fucking choke. And everybody was like, hey, your preparation for your competitions, like preparation, A+. Conditioning, A+. Your strategy, fucking F. And I'm like, damn. I was like, they don't hit me like that. And so I'm sitting here thinking, I was like, okay, how do you develop a strategy against 6 people that you have no idea what their game is? So I'm talking to my professor, and he goes, well, you have to force them to play your game. And I'm sitting back, I'm like, man, what is my game in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, in the gi? And I asked him, I was like, what's my game, Professor Jan? He goes, that's your problem that you have to figure out. And so I'm on this journey now. I'm like, what is my game in the gi in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Because in competition, you have 5 minutes to get it done. You make one mistake, you're pretty much fucked. Like you got to be able to do a whole bunch of things. So that's where my mind, my heart, and my intelligence is right now in the gi. That's what I'm really focused on. So people are like, oh, you should come back to fight mixed martial arts. I was like, no, I'm struggling with something else in martial arts right now, and it's the gi. So yeah, I'm prepping right now for a competition. I'm not sure which competition is going to be next, but you guys look out for your boy. You'll see your boy in the gi. Show your role, of course, because only show your role touches this magnificent body, and we'll see.
Complete respect. Last thing I wanted to bring up, and it's something that you said earlier, and maybe it doesn't resonate with the fans, but I know exactly what you mean. And I talked about this at the very beginning of the show. I understand why media will ask this question to Dana White in the post-fight press conference. I've asked the question as well. Oh, you know, this guy, should he keep fighting? Would you like to see him retire? I've done it, so I'm not saying that I'm above it. I wish in those moments he would say, we'll talk to him and we'll figure it out. Because I feel, you know, imagine Chris Weidman heartbroken on Saturday. Imagine Anthony Smith. Imagine Clay Guida hearing, yeah, they should be done, just in a sort of dismissive way. And I think that goes back to what you were saying. You never wanted to be in that spot, right, where a promoter's sitting there at the dais being like, yeah, DJ's over the hill, he's done. That should be his last fight. You wanted to dictate it. And I think that should be the goal and hope for everyone. It obviously doesn't always work out that way. But that's it right there, right? You never wanted to be in that spot.
Yeah, 1,000%. And somebody sent me a nice message today, and I'm gonna read it, and it was kind of interesting. And then I'm gonna answer that question too. It kind of elaborates what you said. He says, "Love your recent comments on retiring. This is the way more fighters need to do it. It's hard for some to step away, but that is because they put their self-worth and monetary gain specifically by fighting. You have elevated your worth." And when he said that to me, I was like, man, I appreciate that, and I agree with you, man. Like there has to come a point in time, like. I'm gonna take a step back. Conor McGregor, if I was to ask him, why are you still fighting? Like what makes you want to come back? You have all the money in the world that you can ever want. Like an extra 10 million, 20 million, that shouldn't affect the 500 million he's made off selling that. I don't know how much cocaine is. I don't know, but it can't be that expensive. I don't know. I should ask Oscar De La Hoya because he said he's admitted about doing it. But getting back on track, what keeps the athletes fighting? Is it you're trying to prove something? Is it that you have nothing else going on in your life and you're bored? Like, I would love to sit down with like Jose Aldo. Like, Jose Aldo, like, why did you come back to fight? Like, you were successful champion in WC, successful champion in the UFC. You made millions of dollars. Why did you come back? Like, were you bored? If he was like, yeah, man, I was fucking bored. I know what to do. Why not? It's easy money, like, and I did on my YouTube video, I was talking to Henry Cejudo, and I was like, man, why'd you retire? He was like, I don't know. And I was like, Henry, fighting's the easiest way to make money. I was like, you train for 8 weeks and you get a 6-figure check by beating the shit out of somebody. Then he comes back and I'm like, did I have anything to do with that? So I would like to see more athletes. Just because you're in the gym and you can still hang with the younger generation, I don't know if that's enough to keep you fighting at the highest level. But I'm not in a position to dictate what they should do. But if I can be a voice of reasoning, if you're thinking about it and you're older, just think about, like, why am I still fighting? Like, I even asked myself that question. I'm like, why am I still fighting? Is it the money? Am I trying to prove something? Why am I still fighting? And then that's where, like, it clicked for me. I was like, I don't know why I'm still fighting. I guess it's the thing I'm supposed to do. I don't know. And then that's when I told myself, I'm fucking done. Like, I'm forcing myself to retire from fighting, because can I continue to fight? Yeah, 1000%. Like, I'm still fast. I'm still healthy. I work out almost every day. Not train mixed martial arts every day, but why not retire when you're healthy? I still got my brain. I'm still healthy enough to run routes with my kids. I'm still healthy enough to compete in jiu-jitsu at 38 years old. Like, I want to keep on competing when I'm 45 or 50 years old in jiu-jitsu. Like, why not? Why not go out on the high note instead of, I'm still trying to make it work, da-da-da-da. But once again, everybody's situation, everybody's mind is totally different, and everybody's searching for something different. And they have to look themselves in the mirror and answer that question themselves. And for me, I looked my black ass in itself in the mirror, and I was like, what you fighting for, dog? And then I was like, I don't fucking know. I was like, all right, we out. Bye.
Well, very few did it as well as you in the cage. Very few retired as well as you as well. And I think we can finally close the book on this. I mean, I think we could have closed the book on it when you made the announcement, probably even before that. But once again, if there was, I don't know, any sort of chance, I think you have put the 20th nail in the coffin. On your YouTube channel 4 hours ago, you posted a new clip, how Pantoja won. It's one of the best channels when it comes to MMA out there, combat sports, creeping up to 1 million subs. Well done to both you and Onceover. You guys are smashing it, and always love when you come on. I feel like we can, there it is.
It is.
That's the reaction from Saturday, and there's a new one since then. So you guys are killing it. I feel like we could talk for hours, but I'll let you go now, DJ. Thank you so much for the time and the insight, and keep up the great work with the channel.
Hey, I appreciate your Ariel, and shout out to the whole Mighty team, Onceover, Sammy, Med, and Nick. I believe I got everybody. It's a team of 5 of us. Shout out to you, everyone, for always having me on, and shout out to all the fans for making the channel what it is. Check out tomorrow. We have the Mighty Cast. Joaquin Buckley is dropping. It was an amazing interview, and appreciate you guys. And once again, my black ass is not coming back. Cheers. I'm out.
Thank you, DJ. There he is, the great Demetrious Johnson, and yes, Joaquin Buckley returning to action in a massive fight, the final UFC fight of 2024. That is in just 5 days' time against Colby Covington. So he closes the book. He said, I think that was pretty definitive. I don't think we need to wonder where he sits on that particular topic. DJ out, and you have to respect him. No money in the world. He doesn't want to do it. He's done. He's proved it all. He's fought them all. He's beat them all. Much respect. He has nothing left to prove. Thanks for watching this video. Hey, before you go, do me a favor, hit that sub button, give us a thumbs up, hit the little bell thingy as well. Leave us a nice comment or two. We appreciate you all very much.